right, guys, what is growing on? So you guys ready to see this project? This is not going to be your typical install. This is actually my first time picking up the camera, but the job's pretty much done. Guys are just doing the finishing touches, setting the ant stations out, tweaking the irrigation, watering that, and so on. I got here, this site was absolutely prepped, ready to go. The mulch was waiting, the compost was waiting. Karen did an awesome job getting stuff ready for us. When you see some of the original drone footage, you'll kind of see there was probably about 300 yards of mulch here. There was about 5 30-yard loads delivered right to the center of the garden while we were working. So they did everything in their power to, you know, have the materials ready for us, which is a game changer. Not only saved money, made our lives really easy. And I gotta say, this was probably some of the best mulch I ever worked with. It was all pure oak and leaves. I didn't pull a single piece of trash out of it. So it was quite amazing. There was no design on this project. I did a consultation for Karen about a year ago. We've been working together for a little while. She finally said, hey, I have a budget. You know, I want to redo the landscaping at my house. I want to get edibles in. I want to get natives in. Can you help? Well, they got me out here pretty quick. And we got and probably turned this job around in 6 or 7 days. So it was a little bit challenging labor-wise. We've been struggling. Ian's been down now for the last week and a half. He actually had a car accident and he has a broken rib and fractured ankle. So he is out for a little bit. When you guys look at the original drone footage here, you're gonna be like, where's Pete working? Is that place a beach? And let me tell you, it looked like a beach. You know, they put a lot of sand in here to help with drainage. There's a lot of water issues in this area. We are in Myakka City and we're actually backing up to a giant dairy. And really interesting, I got you guys some drone footage of that dairy. I learned a lot about the dairy that's behind here since we've been working on the job. They're actually the developers of the fresh cut green grass for the cows. So, you know, it is a confined type of animal dairy. They get let out on a regular basis, but they are confined inside of a building. But there is a machine that cuts fresh grass and brings that in there to them. I've heard since they developed this, other dairies around the state have done this. I don't think it's really something that happens up north, but more of something that happens in the south. So thought that was kind of cool. Learned a little bit of something about a dairy myself since we've been here. Not exactly sure about the site. I think we're at about 10 acres here, and then they have another 135 acres right behind here that wraps around. So it's a very good sized site out here in Myakka City. This was a big berm that was existing here on the right when we got here. That pomegranate, 2 avocados, and I believe there was a plum tree and a grumichama and a Cattleya guava already here. And we added macadamia nut, other cold hardy avocados, Suriname cherry, Turk's cap hibiscus, our normal perennial peanut, sunshine mimosa around every fruit tree, and then dune sunflower on that entire berm, which will eventually fill in and give us a nice ground cover here. The center, we went with a lot of different fruit trees, everything from loquats to lychee to longan to some mangoes. And got to be honest with you, I was questioning mangoes here, but when I came out and met with Karen and we drove around the area and her side by side, neighbors got mangoes fruiting next door, neighbors got mangoes fruiting down at the end of the road, and we're talking not just 10-foot trees, 30, 40-foot trees. First thing she said was, I want mangoes. So this is probably pushing it for mangoes, but we definitely tried a few mangoes here just by looking at what was going on in the local ecotone. It shows us that it is possible. So maybe some years they'll get a little bit of frost damage, but when we get a couple of mild winters, they're probably going to get fruit. I see one of the lychees, which are a little bit more cold hardy than a mango. I think we added some other Cattleya guavas, a couple of bananas. There was some existing citrus here. The only place that we actually put irrigation on the site was in this center area. We have 3 micro zones feeding all the fruit trees and grafted loquats. Got about, I think, 6 or 8 mulberries here, some peaches, some plums, you know, and then lots of stuff to feed the beneficial insects. It's not just about feeding us, it's about creating this ecosystem. So lots of rudbeckia, lots of vitex, lots of sweet almond, lots of the native salvias. We use the red and the white here. That's actually what's up by the front door. Give us a little bit of a color pop underneath that robellini. And what you also will notice here is we did raised paths. Something Jim's talked about a couple of times is, you know, we want the water when it comes here in the bed, instead of in the path. We don't want it in the bed, we want it to feed the plants. If the beds are higher than the paths, the water goes to the path. So ideally, we want to try to put that water into the beds, so all of the paths are up at least 6 inches higher than the rest of the area, hopefully pushing that water down into the beds. A lot of those stone fruits are kind of staggered over here on this side, and I kind of knew before we got here we'd have 2 lines of fruit trees kind of following the driveway, and I was going to work with this area over here to create some walking paths and individual beds. A couple of yapoon hollies went in here, and we used a lot of that native tea bush. Oh, I did notice there's actually some native blue porterweed just coming up along the fence that we didn't even plant. That's one right there, that's one right there. So it shows you that one obviously does really well in this area. Kirby Chowron has been flowering, looks like it's getting ready to fruit. Ooh. All right, you guys ready to know what's going on up here at the front of the house? And just so you know, this house is like 20 years old, so I know it looks like it's brand new, but it was just built right. We've got lots of the East Coast variety of the dune sunflower, native Fakahatchee grass, a couple of vitex, a large Yapoon holly, and then there's firebush up along the back. We did use the dwarf variety here because I didn't want something that would get too big. Robelinis were here. We installed the shell paths with the Sherlock edging. I noticed there's some solar lights that must have went out last night. This is where we have the red and the white salvias, and another path kind of coming into this guest entrance, along with more dwarf firebush, Fakahatchee grass, and dune sunflower. So little washout area here. You've noticed probably in the overhead they've done a lot of site work here recently. We've just had some crazy rains, and you can see some wild erosion issues. Already talking about a phase 2 planting kind of around the pond. Bamboo windbreaks, that's one thing I'm going to tell you guys. Having all that exposed land here behind us, there is no lack of wind or airflow, so kind of nice for working conditions, but the wind does not stop. It's kind of harsh on the plants, also normally kind of harsh on the audio. So I didn't do any kind of videos through the whole project here. I did get the drone up about 10 times, so I've got a lot of progress videos with the drone, but you guys have seen kind of our methods, how we plant this stuff, kind of how we do the irrigation. You can go back to old videos, and I think I'm going to try this from now on, is just trying to get the drone footage going throughout the project, maybe do the follow-up video for me. It's a little bit easier. Let me know what you guys thought of that down below in the comments. Also, you're probably noticing I don't have my typical Green Dreams hat on. It was blazing out today. This is the only one I had in the truck. My neighbor down the road owns this company. But pretty cool hat. Let me know what you guys think of these things. I forget what company said made them, but thinking about running a Green Dreams model like this, I dig it. Hope you do too. Oh, something I forgot to mention, we also utilized the top of these beds on either side of the walkway. Put a little compost in there, a couple of aloe, and a little mulch on both sides. So walk out the back door, you got a sunburn, grab yourself a leaf, good to go. Oh, let's see what's going on over here on this side. So this is where a lot of the peaches, plums, and mulberries kind of got staggered throughout these walking paths, along with perennial peanut, muley grass, some more of that rudbeckia, some of the tea bushes, and then along the outer edge out here we have some of the native gaillardia. So this, like every other project we do, is going to be a fun one to come back and see. Right now we've got a lot of brown, so once all the green starts to fill in, we'll definitely get a lot more lush. We did use some native nitrogen fixing wax myrtle here, some of the tea camellias, I believe that's the small leaf variety. We went with the standard firebush out here and some of the compactas, so these will get a little bit larger. They can be used as chop and drop, bringing in beneficial insects, hummingbirds, and so on. That one can get to be about 8, 10, 12 foot, depending on its where it's located and how happy it is. So elderberry, definitely lots of elderberry here. I think we got about 8 of these on the site, along with, like I said, sweet almond vitex and a few other natives for bringing in the beneficial and predatory insects. Whoa, no lack of wind. All right, so kind of tried something a little bit different with this one. Let me know what you guys thought about the style, with the kind of filming with the drone as we went through, just doing the follow-up video if this works. I'm probably gonna try doing this with more projects going forward and not skipping some of the ones I don't have time for the camera for. So if you guys enjoyed this video, be sure to hit that like button. If you haven't subscribed yet, please go ahead and do so. And most importantly, you know what we do around here? We pound a lot of dirt.